did they seriously nuke the NCR for one dude's backstory?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I do not have a thing this time, so a future Kitt will probably put that in. If he doesn't, then welcome to the episode anyways. It's the Pip-Bois.
Welcome to episode 5 of the Pip-Bois.
Yeah, episode 5. The past.
Most disconjointed intro yet.
Yeah,
Brought to you by radiation poisoning. It rots your brain.
Oh, you know what? Maybe that would have been a good one. I was like, man, I can't think of anything. I got something. I know.
We just finished the ghouls last episode, so you can just say you got that. You've been drinking some of that irradiated water.
Yeah, I got the irradiation poisoning.
So welcome everybody to our 5th inaugural episode of
the 5th and maybe final episode?
The 5th and maybe final episode, depending on the direction Heat in Texas takes. Because Kitt records every Stuck on the Internet production in his garage, so the rest of the series might just be me.
I might die.
Yeah, let's hope not, but it's definitely Kitt's getting a taste of that desert that Cooper and Lucy marched through.
Yeah, you know, it's more of a I'm doing like a role playing thing with it, where I'm just kind of feeling what they would feel in the desert.
Yeah, I want to feel what they feel, but the good thing is they're out of the desert now.
That's
so,
true.
You know, you're a little late on that.
You know what they say, better late than never, right?
Hey, we started this podcast like 2 months after the show came out. We recorded this podcast 2 months after the show came out, and we're releasing it 3 months after the show came out. So we're the kings of better late than never here on Pip-Bois.
I think even our first episode was like, oh yeah, it's the middle of July.
Yeah, we
were wrong about that too.
It's been mentioned in quite a few seasons, or quite a few Stuck on the Internet productions, but yeah, we kicked this thing off like a month and a half before we released anything. So we were 7 days out from, actually we're almost 2 weeks out from episode 1 going live, because it's Monday the 24th.
I just realized that my microphone was not facing towards me, so I might have better sound now.
Oh, that's good.
I look like I'm louder.
Welcome.
So, hey, I'm back, guys.
It helps if the microphone faces the direction you're recording with.
Facing it away and just getting the echo off of the table is probably not the best way to record. I'm a professional, I swear. I went to college for this.
This is episode 5 of the Fallout show on Amazon Prime. We're gonna go into a deep dive on the scenes and everything that happened in this episode. But as always, first of all, the episode itself, a broad summation. I have finally hit the point where I had my what the hell moment with the lore.
Really? I'm actually really excited to see where the what the hell moment is.
I'm very excited to talk about. I think I want to save it until we get to that point.
Yeah. I'm good with that. Yeah.
Yeah, because it was my first moment where I was like, okay, why? And it's something I hope they explore more, but I don't think they're going to, and I'm going to be mad about it.
Yeah, I had one spot that I was just like, well, this is different. Like, I didn't have like a super huge reaction over it yet, because I thought maybe there might be an answer, but yeah, I'm with you. If the spot that I think you're talking about is, and they don't answer any of it, then I'm going to be like, WTF, mate?
Yeah, I'm gonna have some words for it. But overall, the episode, it was another short episode, only 45 minutes, very convenient for watching after work before you record this. I kind of like the shorter episodes because I feel like I'm able to dig in a little bit more. At least when for sake of doing this show, you feel a little rushed when you have to record, an under an hour and a half show on a show that ran for an hour and a half. So, but no, I think it just gives us a little bit more time to be detailed. One thing in this particular episode that I thought was interesting is, at least for me as a viewer, is this is the first episode that hasn't featured Cooper. I felt more disappointed that we didn't get any Cooper in this episode than the last episode where they didn't feature Maximus.
I feel the exact same way with that, because for some reason Cooper is just the best character in the show right now, and it's just, I just really want more Cooper in it, because that lore that's behind it is also just so cool.
Well, that's what got me, because this episode's titled The Past, and I thought for sure an episode titled The Past would go into the past of the literal oldest character on the show who has been around since before the war. I thought for sure this was going to be the episode where we went back in time and we picked up where we left off, I think 2 episodes ago now, when Cooper recorded the commercial for Vault-Tec. or took the promotional pictures for Vault
yeah.
Tech. I thought that was where it was going. I think there's a lot to talk about this episode. It was a shorter episode, but there's definitely a lot to talk about.
There was more in this episode than it felt like in any other episodes. And this was so far the fastest episode by 2 minutes, beating out last episode by 2 minutes.
Yeah, it felt like it definitely zoomed right on by. This is also, I think that's aided by the fact that this is the first time that my Amazon TV didn't crash.
What?
So just in case anyone was keeping tabs on that, it's the first time I've been able to get through a full episode without the Amazon streaming service crashing my Amazon TV.
That's amazing.
So yeah, it's
a good thing that they have that whole thing figured out, that the Amazon works really well with Amazon, and there's zero problems with it. It's totally worth the $100-something for commercials.
I'm sure that a lot of this, I talk a lot of crap about this TV. I'm sure a lot of this has to do with the fact that it is a 6-year-old Walmart TV. I am absolutely certain it has a lot to do with it, but I'm still going to complain.
So before we jump into the episode, one thing that we decided, that because we've been talking about for quite a bit, is like, how do we figure out how somebody who's doesn't know anything about Fallout, doesn't know anything about the lore, how would they feel watching the show? And we came up with a solution.
We have a solution. We spent significant time lab testing it. We set out several focus groups. Those focus groups being our wives. We are going to, the plan is once we wrap everything up, we're probably going to take, I would say probably a week break or so. Then we're going to come back and we're going to do our wives are in the interim, in the break, our wives are going to watch the show, and we're going to talk about the Fallout show with 2 people who have had no exposure to Fallout whatsoever. My wife did come in and wash the windows today when I was recording or when I was taking notes on the episode. So, I mean, that may have ruined her opinion of the show.
Well,
but,
I guess this experiment's over already.
Yeah, I guess the experiment has already ended.
All right,
it started and ended right here.
We're doing our own Volt tests because I'm not going to tell anything to my wife about it. And I'm just going to let her watch it and then be like, I don't get this. And I'll be like, well, I would tell you because I get it.
Yeah. No, that's exactly what we're going to do is we're going to make them watch it. And this time my wife can't say I'm being mean when I say watch the show, please. And we'll reveal all the questions on the podcast. I don't know. I feel like that could probably come into like an episode or two.
Yeah, it could be like a 2-parter, depending.
But yeah, we're gonna do that. It'll also help refresh us on everything, so we can do a big recap, and we're gonna look at behind the scenes stuff. So don't worry. I know you guys are so worried that we were gonna go away after 8 episodes, but we're gonna keep Kitt in his heat stroke inducing garage for a few more episodes once this is over.
I'm so excited.
Oh, yeah. So, do we want to go ahead and dive into the episode?
Let's jump into the episode.
So, this is like I said, this is episode 5, titled The Past. We open on Maximus and Thaddeus. They're just chilling with the head, hanging out. They're having a grand old time. They're kind of just telling stories. They look like they're just having fun. Our boy Thaddeus decides that he wants to be branded. He wants to be the official squire, and he needs that T for Tennessee on the back of his neck, because that's what everybody wants.
Go Titans.
And Maximus is kind of like, you sure about that? It kind of hurts, dude. That's not great. But, they go with it anyway. As always, branding looks a little spicy. Branding is something that always looks a little spicy. It looked more red in this episode than it did the first episode.
Yeah.
Definitely hurts. I really want to know why the Brotherhood of Steel has not invested in burn cream, because as someone who recently burned my hand, I can't imagine what getting the back of your neck branded feels like, and just having to go and live life after that. Can't be fun.
Right? I spilt coffee on my hand once and I thought I was going to die. So
yeah,
getting a full-on brand. Oof.
Yeah, being burned in any way isn't fun, but getting branded on the back of your neck right where your collar rides up just doesn't sound fun. So I think you definitely need to get some burn cream. So, they're now that Thaddeus is officially his squire, he's like, dude, come on, let's talk. You can tell me about anything. And Maximus decides to drop a little secret, which I had a feeling was going to come out. I'm kind of glad it came out this way. at least for the character. I feel like this is a little bit easier, maybe. We'll see. So Maximus decides to reveal that he's not Titus. He takes his little faceplate, or lifts his little faceplate out. Thaddeus is understandably like, dude, what the fuck?
They're going to kill you.
Yeah, they're like, they're gonna, Brotherhood's gonna kill you. You can't get away with this. This is not good. And Maximus immediately in that moment is like, well, guess I gotta kill you.
Yeah, they instantly betray each other. It's amazing.
Instantly. That's what kind of killed me about this scene is I feel like Maximus was starting to grow. I feel like he saw something in his old friend here. And just how quickly he goes from, let me show you the secret, to, well, I guess I have to kill you.
Yeah, it was so fast.
It's kind of like, dude, I mean,
So I do have a theory about him, which it comes up a little bit later. So, but keep that in mind for the theory that I have later.
Okay. Yeah. So it definitely turns around pretty quick. Tries to kill him. They have a little bit of a battle. Thaddeus gets his foot stepped on by the power armor, which doesn't sound super great. Thaddeus does the smart thing, which I actually asked about, I think, in the first episode, which is what happens if you take the power core out of power armor. And we found out what happens if you take the power core out of power armor. It gets locked up.
Again, our good boy Todd Howard came in and told us exactly what we asked.
I don't know how
he does it.
I gotta thank Todd for on the fly changing the show as we do this podcast. I'm glad, just his words of wisdom and what he said about our show just speaks volumes, and the fact that he's doing these on the fly lore changing and making all these people go back to Namibia. It's just it really shows how careful the attention to detail is.
Right? In a recent interview, somebody asked, hey, what about the Pip-Bois podcast? And he I quote from him, who? So, I mean, we made it, boys.
We've been sending him copies of this show before it goes live on VHS. I don't know why he hasn't watched it yet.
I did get something back about that. I think it's in a different letter. It was like cyst and deceased. Yeah, I don't know. It was weird.
That seems like way too many words. I don't think that's it.
It looked legal or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Who needs legal? We don't have a legal department that's stuck on the internet, so we can't take legal notices. Fun fact. That's just that's not how it works.
So the power core gets taken out.
See, the power core gets taken out of the armor. Pretty cool. His armor completely locks up, which is another one of those things that I just think it's cool. I like these little details like that. That would be really funny to see that happen in the game. Though I don't know how the mechanic would work after that if you just get stuck.
Oh, man. Imagine if you're playing 76.
Yeah, and
then you're just walking around and somebody just comes up behind you, just boink.
You just gotta yell and hope somebody comes and finds you. Yeah, it was a really cool detail. Thaddeus takes off with dog meat in tow. Yeah, they're wandering off into the distance, and the Fallout logo pops up. Yay! So after the Fallout logo, we come back to Maximus. Right on back to Maximus. He is living one of my personal nightmares, which is being paralyzed and having bugs crawling all over you. One of my mini sleep paralysis demons, I've got to say, just a real good one. So he's got rad roaches crawling all over him. They're attacking his armor. He's kind of freaking out again, understandably. And boom, a roach explodes. Who could it be? It's Lucy. She's a wasteland badass now.
Deuce X Lucy.
Yeah, she's just in here capping roaches. She's definitely more of a wastelander at this point. Maximus is kind of heard hollering. You can vaguely hear him hollering within the armor. Lucy just immediately goes up and knows how to open the mask right away. They have a fun little reunion. Mm-hmm. They're like, hey, I know you. You were at the store. You were the guy that pushed me through a wall.
Yeah.
Lucy has some understandable trust issues. Maximus wants out of this suit of power armor. For once, Lucy is at a bit of an advantage against somebody in the wasteland. She's just kind of like, hey, everyone that I've talked to thus far has made an attempt to kill me. I don't really know if I want to trust you. She's, they kind of go back and forth, says that she has had a rough week, kind of implies, at least to me, it's been about a week since she's been out of the vault, in case we have any timeline, questions or anything like that. I know we talked in the last episode about how long it takes the ghoul to turn, or for Cooper to turn, so we could surmise that he started to deteriorate pretty rapidly within a week, if my understanding of that's right. She also reveals in this confrontation that she is looking for the head, and there's a little bit of a moment. It's like, oh, we're all looking for the head. And then Lucy starts to puke because, she drank nasty water.
The rad poisoning.
She had radiation poisoning. And Maximus is smart. He sees this as his opportunity and begins bargaining like, hey, I've got some Radaway. I can help you out here. All you need to do is open the suit. Lucy asks his name. He decides to keep with the shtick of the stolen identity of the dead dude, says he is Knight Titus. She just decides to trust him, which is, understandable. Radiation poisoning doesn't sound super fun. Again, very proficient with this power armor. She knows how to open it. She opens it, gets him out, immediately starts picking apart details about the T-60 power armor. I guess she read a lot of books about it in the vault, and then she passes out.
It's kind of interesting that she was... I thought it was really weird that even though she read a book about it, that she was able to do just about anything with the power armor and knew how to work it instantly. To me, that kind of almost threw me out of the show. But
it threw me out a little bit. But then on another hand, you've also kind of got to think, or at least the way I think of it, it's like these people spend their lives underground, and there's not a ton to do, I can imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, so I feel like if you read, if I read documents or watch videos enough, I can figure out how to do something pretty quick, so maybe it's just she spent a lot of time reading about it and watching videos, and she's just maybe that was a fascination of hers, and she just managed to figure it out. That's my headcanon, because I agree, it does kind of take you out when she's immediately just like, oh, I know how to do it, because she literally says, I know how to do it, when he tries to start walking her through opening the power armor.
I got it.
They would have had super detailed manuals on a very old armor or something like that, which just to me it was just why would Vault-Tec the Volts even have that in their vaults?
Well, I mean, in fairness, two things that I could think for that is, number one, the Vault 32 at least it seemed to be very pro-Americana. True. And being very pro-Americana, very patriotic. A lot of times, military stuff is lumped in with that, so that could be a part of it, talking about the glory of the American military and going into detail on stuff like that. Beyond that a little bit more, they frequently point back to how the mission of these three vaults is to return to the surface and reclaim the surface. It's entirely possible that they might have some power armor or some military weapons stashed away somewhere for when Reclamation Day does come.
That's true, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, just more stuff that's entirely. I mean, she says she's never seen a suit of power armor in person, so that could just be. I'm just pulling that out of my ass. That doesn't. Just headcanon stuff.
Yeah. To me, it was just more of a little bit of a gripe. It was just kind of that feels weird. But I mean, also you have to save them somehow. So.
Yeah, oh yeah, no, that's fair. I'm gonna be interested to see if that if that becomes a point of interest again. Again, the power armor definitely. Overall, I feel like people in the show have jumped into having knowledge on the power armor very quickly.
Yeah.
And in the games, at least in Fallout 3 and New Vegas, it's very much like you have to be trained. You have to know. You have to learn how to use the power armor. Fallout 4, you kind of go straight into it. I mean, granted, if you're playing the male character did have Nate. Nate did have a military background, so that would explain that for Fallout 4.
Yep.
But I just feel like in the show, they're pretty right away into this giant suit of Iron Man armor, and I feel like it takes a little bit of knowledge to know how to work properly. Which I could jump back to episode 2, because Cooper does make a quote to Maximus that, you didn't really learn how to use this armor, did you? So,
yeah.
But, yeah. There's a lot that could be examined there. But instead of doing that, we're going to head back to Vault 32. We're picking up right where we left off in Vault 32. And the previous episode, Norm is questioning how his mom could possibly be involved in this. They did note in this episode later, in the last episode we talked about wondering how the mom died. They did quote that the mom died. She just died. It was never really brought up before what happened to her. She died. That's it. So that was kind of anticlimactic. Chet proposes to Norm that it's possible the logs are falsified. They explore a little bit bit more of the vault, they find another room full of bodies. It's the door to Vault 31.
They were trying to get in.
They were trying to break in. There's claw marks. There's somebody who has a blowtorch. And scrawled on the wall in blood are the words, "We know what's in there."
Bum, bum, bum.
Bum, bum, bum.
Also, it seemed like that they died instantly.
Again, yeah, that's what's really, really interesting to me is a lot of these dead bodies seem like they are frozen mid-action. So it almost makes me think there was some kind of like purge command launched.
That's kind of what I was thinking too. It was like some sort of just kill switch.
Yeah, because I mean, I brought that up last episode, and I just feel like that with all of them at the vault door like that, it just something tells me that they were killed for a reason. We know what's in there, scrawled in blood. After that they decide to head on back to the Vault 33. They are immediately stopped. Well, not stopped, but they're kind of questioned by Betty, kind of asking what's going on. They just come back and say, "Hey, we were planting potatoes," which is a perfectly normal response.
We've been planting potatoes.
That's whatever I tell my wife whenever I'm caught doing anything. Like,
yeah, I'm just planting potatoes.
I'll just be in the refrigerator trying to dig out some ice cream that I'm not supposed to have, and she'll be like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm just planting potatoes." She's like, "Okay."
I'm not slaughtering kangaroos in the backyard.
Nope.
So after that, we head on back to the wastes, and this is kind of where we bounce back and forth. Like we said, no Cooper this episode, unfortunately, so there's a lot of back and forth between the wastes and the vault. Maximus, we cut back to Maximus giving Lucy some rat away. He does make a comment. They're kind of talking back and forth, and he makes a comment that he's surprised that there are actual people in the vaults because he thought it was all monsters, which could be... I had to clean my glasses, which that could be taken a number of ways because specifically from playing Fallout New Vegas, there's vaults, there's a lot of vaults that wind up getting taken over after the inhabitants leave, either, whatever ghouls, whatever monsters move in. And then there's one vault, I forget which vault number it is specifically, but it's like overtaken by plant people because the experiment went horribly wrong.
Mm-hmm. And then there's a vault that's, and I also don't remember what number, but it's literally all ghouls because they left the door open on purpose just to see what the radiation would do.
Yeah, so it kind of makes you wonder, what is this just, people saying, just boogeyman comments, generic boogeyman comments, or is there a reason he says he thought it was all monsters? Is that supposed to mean something or is it not? Interesting. He says he's got to take off. He's got to go. He's got to find Thaddeus. I don't know why I'm turning into a gay Southern man. He's got to go hunt down my stars. He's got to go find Thaddeus. Lucy kind of inquires a little bit about the Brotherhood. I did jump a little bit ahead of myself earlier when I said the connection about the head was made in the initial scene. It wasn't. This is when they're talking about the Brotherhood is when the connection between
I didn't even
Max and the head is made. Yes, Maximus and the head is made. So Lucy kind of recognizes they're all after the same thing. Let's work together. The Brotherhood of Steel, you guys have power armor, you guys have guns, you guys, you have a fighting force. I've got a tracker for the head.
And
let's find
saving my dad.
Yeah, help me find my dad. I will bring you to the head. Or, we can bring the head to the Brotherhood and use this as leverage or whatever. So she's definitely becoming more trusting of him. Obviously, he's the first person that they met that didn't try to kill her. So that's kind of neat. They have a very lovely moment of friendship. They shake hands. You can hear the companion acquired music play.
Glory, hallelujah, playing in the background.
Glory, hallelujah. Lucy has her first companion. They strike out down the railroad to go find the head. And this is my first ad break on the show, so I'm going to do a quick ad break for another show on Stuck on the Internet. Look at that.
God.
We're going to simulate the real show. I want to take a moment because this week, when this episode goes out, if I did all of my math right, this Wednesday, we dropped a brand new episode, my show, Super Serious. If you like serialized podcasts where people go into a ton of details about stupid things, check out Super Serious. It's on stuckontheinternet.com or wherever you find podcasts. Back to the show. You like that? Did you see what I did there?
Now you just have to pay us like $150 so that
I got to pay us $200. We break even and we hit our year one goal before we even start. So after the ads played, we got back to the vault. It's Overseer voting day. Yay, democracy. We know how well democracy's doing, right?
Yeah.
In the real world and the fake world. So old Mustachio Davy is expressing some concerns about voting to Reg. Or about voting for Reg. To Reg. Yeah, he's talking to Reg about how he doesn't want to vote for Reg and that he wants to vote for Betty.
This was the most beautifully awkward conversation I think I ever saw, and I was like,
Davey does a very good job of making people uncomfortable in a very real way.
I was watching it feeling uncomfortable. Like, man,
that's one thing I like when shows do, or shows or movies, whatever, when they're able to capture the soul of mundanity. Because like this is some uncomfortable conversation I could imagine having in real life, and I felt uncomfortable during this situation. I think the show did a very good job of conveying for that. So yeah, Davey says he's voting for Betty. Reg also says I should vote for Betty. He kind of has a moment where he's like, "Who am I kidding?" So everybody votes for Betty, just right away. Boom. That scene was brief, so we're heading back to the wasteland now. Lucy asks Maximus to kind of bring her up to speed with what's going on in the world. Obviously, she's got a little bit of a taste for it, but she doesn't know a ton of what's going on in the world.
Can you tell me what happened in the last 200 years? A quick rundown.
Yeah, a quick rundown of what's happened in the past 200 years, and there's a lot of lore to cover, understandably. She says something about the war and the bombs dropping, and Maximus makes a curious quote, which we actually find out about later. He says the bombs fell when he was a kid. We're going to get into that later. So
yeah, which was really weird. Whenever he first said that, I thought he meant like the actual bomb. So I was like, is he 200 years old?
That's what I kind of wondered about that too. That's what kind of threw me through a loop on that one. I didn't know if it was just one of those one lines that I was throwing, just kind of putting a little bit too much thought into. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's definitely more that comes into that. We find out later. We're gonna talk about that once we get there. Maximus kind of playfully questions Lucy about her original plan of just kind of heading directly into the storm with no weapons or armor or anything, heading into a pack of well-trained raiders.
But I had the head.
She wanted to go New Vegas. She wanted to go to New Vegas through the Deathclaw route, basically. Dead now, they are going the long way, down the long 15. They kind of have some moments. Lucy tells a story about playing in the field with her mom. After her mom was gone, she realized that mom made the fake sunlight in the vault feel real. Yay. And then she asked if the earth is flat.
Yeah, that was my favorite line of the show. That one, and there's one other that's coming up in a little bit, are my two favorite lines of this episode. But yeah, that one was, so Earth, is it round or flat? Where did y'all come up with that? And I was like, oh my God.
I like those little, they do a really, really good job. The writers do a really good job of just hiding those little one-liners in there that if you're not paying attention, because that one was like right before it cut to the next scene, if you're not paying attention, you'll miss it. But if you're paying attention, that's great. So we head back to the vault, and Norm is doing a little bit of digging. He's looking, again, through the computer files, and specifically, he's looking at the exchange log, the personnel exchange log between the vaults, specifically exchanges from Vault 31. Something interesting he finds as he goes through this is every single overseer that Vault 32 has ever had has come from Vault 31.
Bum, bum, bum.
Ooh, bum, bum, bum. And I think here we kind of start unraveling a little bit of the experiment of these vaults beyond the three vaults.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely think there's a little bit more going on here. I'm going to be interested to find out what.
Yeah, at this point, I was definitely like, okay, 31 is the control or something. Not the control group, but like the control of the 32 and 33.
they've got kind of I think it's kind of, my running theory is some kind of like secret over, how do two groups of people handle being secretly controlled by one. Mm-hmm. Is kind of the gist of it, and I think it looks like that's the direction that we're going, which is definitely interesting. We cut to very quickly to Betty winning the election. She won with like 98% of the votes. So obviously people have their confidence in Betty.
And we also find out that Betty's from Vault 31.
Everyone's from Vault 31. What was the line that they were using when things seem glum? Vote for 31.
Yeah.
So,
that one comes up later, but yeah.
Yeah, that one comes up
when
later.
Look
but
glum. Vote for someone from 31.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So it definitely seems like we're kind of heading down that road of experimentation here. Again, we see the Jell-O cake. Makes me very interested outside of the show to try to make a Jell-O cake.
Yeah,
I don't think I've ever had a Jell-O cake.
Apparently it's better than apple pie, so we need to try.
Is that a real thing that people do, or is
Jell-O
that just something
cake?
from
Yeah.
Fallout?
No, that's a real thing.
Oh, I'd never heard of it before.
I will send you some pictures of Jell-O cake at some point. But yeah,
I mean, I'm sure
it's a
it
real
looks
thing.
the same as it does in the show. It's just, it was very intriguing to me. It's some, I don't know why that clicked in this episode, because they've shown, I think every episode so far has had at least one shot of Jell-O cake. And yeah, that'd be interesting. Anyway.
Oh, I need
so,
that's a good question. I wonder.
So Norm and Betty kind of have a moment. He congratulates Betty, kind of stares her down in one of those defining moments of like, I know something and I know you know something. And there's a nice little moment before we cut back to the Wastes. Dun, dun, dun. They're walking along the road. They're just discussing pre-war tech and kind of talking about the Brotherhood's mission a little bit from what I gathered. They come up on a bridge though. And on this bridge, there's two weirdos just standing in the middle, just chilling out. You can kind of tell from a distance, these guys are kind of strange. They're a little interesting. They kind of have that moment. The folks across the bridge holler out to see if they are armed. Obviously, Lucy is strapped. They immediately lie and say, no, we're not armed. Maximus wants the gun. He wants, he's big Brotherhood of Steel man. He wants the gun to try and shoot them. Lucy decides instead to see if she can do a speech check.
Yep.
And that speech check immediately failed.
Immediately. They do like lift up their hands, the show like, oh, we're all friends and stuff. And then it shows Lucy's finger again. I don't know why, but having that fake finger on it is just gross to me. And I think I would rather die than have somebody else's finger on my hand.
Just a loose finger that came out of a drawer? You don't like that?
No, I think that's whenever I'd just be like, no, it's fine. Just cut me instead.
I don't need that finger. I can shoot with the middle finger. Yeah, that one was a little. So yeah, she speech fails. She tries to negotiate with them crossing the bridge. Kind of goes back and forth. We have this scene where we see Kit's nasty finger. They kind of say, hey, if we both raise our hands and make our way across the bridge, we're good. Everybody's happy. All the people across the bridge agree to it. Both parties involved raise their hands and slowly start walking down each side of the bridge. We get to see these guys a little bit closer up. They're looking rough for wear. They're not looking great. The lady spots a Pip-Bois on Lucy's arm, and she decides at this point it's worth attacking. All hell breaks loose. As always, Maximus grabs Lucy's gun, shoots both of the raiders, and he gets winged. Lucy's a bit shocked by this. This kind of is the first random encounter that she's had like this, where it very quickly escalated and very quickly ended in violence. Like, she's seen people die, but this is the first time it's like she thinks everybody's going to get through this okay.
And nobody does.
Yeah, and nobody does. So she's a little bit taken aback by a number of things. Maximus says that they are fiends. One of the notes that's brought in here is that he just explicitly says that the fiends are cannibals, which I believe is already established lore, but I thought the big thing with the fiends is that they were chem fiends. Like, they were just bombed out of their gourds. So
I didn't even think of that. I was thinking chem fiends were different than fiend, like, for some reason.
I mean, they might be, because I'm just thinking of the fiends from Fallout New Vegas.
Yeah, and I didn't even think of that for some reason. But
yeah, I could be completely off books. There might be other fiends that I'm missing. Not that that's like a huge game breaking difference, but like the fact that he called them fiends, and they seemed this wasn't the fiends that I was familiar with.
So at this point, he does get shot in the shoulder, like you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
And this is whenever I came up with a theory. I don't think he's human.
You don't think he's human?
No, because everything about him, he just does in such an awkward, non-human way. Like, he doesn't know what's going on. Even though it's like he's learning how to be human as he's going. And, like, he doesn't register pain the same way, it seems. He does things just to get ahead, like no problem. And so it's just like some things about it. And also the line from before, this was before a scene that happens later on, but the line from before of 200 years, I was like, oh, so he was alive 200 years ago.
That'd be, yeah, I mean, I wonder if he's like a synth, is what you're...
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Interesting. And I mean, that's not something that had crossed my mind, you know? I mean, it would make sense. Because that's part of the problem with TV shows that do realism really, really well. Sometimes you have those slips like that where somebody will get shot and they just won't mention it again.
Yeah, he like does not get affected by it. He barely gets affected by anything that's painful.
Yeah, I mean that is it's something I hadn't thought about. Definitely something I'll keep in mind. You know, I'll pay more attention to in the next show or the next episode and see, you know, if it develops any. But that would be interesting.
Mm-hmm. But the 200-year part was part of that too. But that was quickly disproven.
Well,
but the rest of it does make sense still to me.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see as the show forges on.
Another crazy prediction
from the Pip-Bois. So Maximus starts looting. He's going through. That's how we find out that they're fiends. Lucy does comment on his, you know, obviously his hole in his arm, and you know he has his Black Knight moment of saying, "'Tis but a scratch." Lucy's just like, I hate it here. This place is horrible. Why are we here? We head on back to the vault from here. Woody is staring longingly at a campaign poster. He's just, what could have been? Davy, our boy, Mr. Awkward himself, returns to the limelight. They kind of exchange. They have a conversation. They go back and forth. Woody says he should have. He must have put up at least 10 posters. I just don't know what happened. I ran such a hard campaign.
That was my second favorite line of this whole episode. Was him going, "Man, you ran such a good campaign." I was like,
I know. Must have put 10 posters up.
And to me, I don't know what it is about Zach Cherry, who's the person who plays Woody. Mm-hmm. And every single thing that he's in, he has the best one-liners that ever happened. Like he was in Spider-Man, the first one, No Way Home. He's staring at Spider-Man, and he's like, "Are you Spider-Man?" Yeah. It's like, "Well, do a flip, Spider-Man."
Okay, Spider-Man, do a flip.
Yeah! There's a lot of actors in this show that, as I look them up, because I recognize a lot of people, and I as I look them up, they're just one-off characters in a lot of shows or a lot of movies. And that's just interesting casting. Not that it's bad. I love the casting of all the characters, but it's just interesting.
Yeah, so far he's my favorite one-off character.
Oh yeah, Davy's great, or Woody's
Zach
great.
Cherry.
So yeah, Davy and Woody kind of have a conversation about running for overseer. Davy reveals that he actually ran for overseer at one point, but there was a weevil epidemic, so he lost. And this is the first time officially that the line "When things look glum, vote for Vault 31" drops.
It's a powerful slogan.
Kind of reinforces. It's very interesting that Woody, so, you know, there's an overseer election. Presumably, Davy might have been getting some support, and then something bad happens. Things look bad, and they've got to look for someone for Vault 31. Was that orchestrated? You know, was that part of it? Who knows? So from here, we head on back. Norm and Chet are hanging out with the baby. They're having some kind of hushed conversation. Norm he's kind of questioning. He's voicing for the first time, why are all of the overseers from Vault 31? Chet's like, you know, when things look glum, vote for Vault 31. Don't worry about it. Like, just like let's leave this. Let's sleeping dogs lie. Let's not worry about it. He does make a comment right as Steph steps out of the shower. That Steph is from Vault 31. As Norm decides to inquire about how Vault 31 is different, you know, she says, "What did your dad say about it? Your dad's from Vault 31. Did he not tell you anything?" Norm says, "No, that's kind of why I'm asking you." She doesn't really know what's different or better about the vault. It almost seems like her memory of that vault is a little fuzzy. And she says, well, maybe the potatoes are better?
Do you think that it was fuzzy, or she was lying?
I don't know. The conspiracy theorist in me says fuzzy, and they do something to the people that leave that vault to make them, you know, make their memory a little hairy on things, because presumably I would think that Vault 31 seems to have some level of knowledge of the experiment based on what is said up until now. You know, specifically like the "we know what's going on in there" line that we saw in the intro or in the early scenes from this episode. So I kind of get the feeling.
And all the people from 31 are overseers, and overseers usually are in on the experiment.
Yeah, so I
some
definitely I get the feeling people from Vault 31 know a little bit more. So I'd be, you know, I kind of think that maybe they're messing with their heads a little bit. Who knows? Just kind of my 2 cents there. We cut on back to Norm, heading back to prison lunch duty. Over the loudspeaker as he's pushing his cart full of food through the halls, Overseer Betty is heard saying that they will meet tomorrow to discuss Vault 32. Bum, bum, bum.
Bum, bum, bum.
So now we head back to the Wastelands, and we're getting into the part that I want to talk about this episode.
Hey, this is where I thought.
Good. So we're back in the Wastelands. We come up on a giant billboard for Shady Sands, which, for those who don't know the Fallout lore super well, Shady Sands is the capital of the NCR. And this is the first time, 5 episodes in, that we have any reference to the NCR. You know, they kind of, Lucy kind of questions life a little bit when she finds out that there's, you know, the world kind of kept going outside of the vaults. And even though this is kind of I mean, she didn't know any better, but, you know, the whole shtick with Shady Sands is it technically was started by vault dwellers. In a sense. You know,
yeah,
the Vault Dwellers did reestablish society.
Reclamation Day happened.
Yeah, Reclamation Day happened. I mean, she didn't know about that particular lore, but, you know, she kind of has existential moments. She's like, Reclamation Day was supposed to happen. You know, how'd the world keep going without the Vault Dwellers? Maximus drops a line, says, you know, if it makes you feel any better, it didn't work out, which is kind of one of those, what do you mean moments? Like, huh? Wait, excuse me? It didn't work out.
What do you mean?
Because NCR is a pretty big presence. I mean, they are arguably probably the most organized government in the Wasteland. At least of any of the games that I've played, it's the most organized. So it's interesting. And they walk through the buildings and find out that Shady Sands is now just a giant hole in the ground. And presumably from this point, the NCR is no more. So Maximus drops a line, basically says that, you know, everybody wanted to save the world. Nobody could agree on how, you know, raises some questions, goes into a little bit of his backstory. Maximus was around. This is the bomb that he was talking about going off when he mentioned it earlier. Raises some questions here for me, which is A, did they seriously nuke the NCR for one dude's backstory? And 2, did the Brotherhood of Steel nuke? Because the Brotherhood of Steel was right there. Did they nuke the NCR?
I kind of wonder if it was the Brotherhood of Steel that did it, because they're trying to be the New World. They're trying to be the NCR.
See, it's the thing that I don't really... I see a lot of people saying, like, the Brotherhood of Steel wants to be the New World Order. I don't really think they want to be the New World Order. I think they just want to make sure that technology stays safe.
Yeah.
Because they're never really, in any of the games, they're never really a governing force for anybody outside of the Order. Like, if you're not in the Brotherhood of Steel, they're just kind of dudes there. And I mean, they'll take stuff, but, you know, the Brotherhood of Steel doesn't have settlements.
That's true.
They've got bunkers. It's not like, you know, if you look at, say, you know, the NCR, they're an established government. The Caesar's Legion, they're an established government. If you go over to the East Coast, you know, Fallout 3 didn't really have any. Fallout 3's Brotherhood of Steel was kind of the closest thing to a governing faction of Brotherhood of Steel, but they were also like a splinter faction of the Brotherhood of Steel, and their whole shtick is they do things a little bit differently. But of course, you could probably read into it a little bit more because the Pridwin is here, and Elder Maxon, at least as of Fallout 4, was the son or grandson of the Elder Maxon from Fallout 3, which was the governing blah blah blah. I'm pulling out my strings and plugging them into the pegboard now. And Fallout 4, I think the closest thing to a broad governing force that they were trying to establish was the Minutemen.
Yep.
So, you know, I don't really look at the Brotherhood of Steel as a governing force, just kind of like a, you know, they protect people, I think, to an extent. But it's just, it just raises so many questions, because I couldn't see in my head, you know, the Brotherhood of Steel has had issues with the NCR before. They butted heads. There's the, what's the name of the Helios 1. There's Helios 1 in Fallout New Vegas. The whole lore behind that is the NCR took it from the Brotherhood. And it's just, but that was one battle. They butted heads. And again, that was one battle with a faction of the Brotherhood of Steel. Like, just what, this whole thing just kills me, because it just doesn't make any sense.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think the NCR was mentioned in Fallout 4.
Trying to think. If they were, they might have been in passing. Let me confirm on Google. NCR did not get mentioned in Fallout 4.
Right.
And yeah, no influence about the mix.
And I think it was they were
There's a
mentioning.
note in Nick Valentine's office that mentions the NCR, but that's about as far as it goes.
But I think that means that the NCR was really mentioned in Fallout 3 and New Vegas. And
Yeah.
And mainly that the NCR comes out of Shady Sands, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, the Shady Sands is the capital of the NCR, yeah.
Yeah, but also if you nuked the capital of America, America would still exist and probably get pissed off. So I don't know if it's gone.
If you blew up Washington, D.C. right now, not saying that we would for the NSA that's listening to this, please leave us a rating.
Yeah. 5-star.
If you blew up Washington, D.C. right now, I feel like that would still throw the country into disarray. Like, it would cause some issues, especially if there's a lot of heads of state there right now, like at any given time.
Mm-hmm. It would cause issues, but it wouldn't cause the entire United States to collapse, I wouldn't think. So if we, like, getting rid of the Shady Sands, which would be the most obvious point to attack if you were trying to get rid of the NCR.
Well, what gets me with it, too, I mean, it's called out, at least by Maximus, it's called out that he says earlier that, if it makes you feel any better, it didn't work out.
That's true.
That kind of leads me to believe that the NCR is gone, or at least it's in shambles compared to what it was before. So I understand why people are mad about the NCR lore now. I really, really hope that they do something to explain what happened, because if they nuked an entire faction, a very fundamental faction in Fallout, because from my understanding, they've got a pretty decent presence in the first two games too. I think like the establishment scene around the first game, but it's more prevalent in the second game. It's like, if you're going to destroy this massive faction, probably the biggest and most well-organized faction that we've seen in the Fallout lore, are we doing that for one dude's backstory? For who I would argue is the most flat character in the show? Like, don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm sure part of me is saying that is out of a little bit of frustration, but it's like, I really, really hope they justify that.
I feel like that they can't do that without justifying it in some way, so I'm hoping we do get answers.
Like, I could even see them blowing a hole in New Vegas. It just being like, well, that sucked. I mean, New Vegas is a huge part of the Wasteland, obviously, but it's like, it's not like an entire faction is gone. Mm-hmm. A lot of people dead, but, it's not like the biggest controlling faction in the Wasteland was gone for somebody's backstory. So I'm going to be interested to see how it plays out. I get the feeling, based on the fact that I see a lot of people mad about it on the internet, it didn't get resolved this season. I don't know how true that is. They could dig the hole deeper. I'm still going to keep watching the show, but this whole scene and this whole it seems like it was, to me, it seems like it was done for nothing. It seems very cryptic as to why they did it. So, raises a lot of questions, definitely. Shortly after this, Maximus is kind of struggling with his wound. New side quest acquired. They need to fix his arm. Max, they're like, we can get to the head later. We need to fix your arm. Because, I mean, it's a decent point. If the dude dies of infection, Lucy strolling up to the Brotherhood with a dead dude who killed a knight isn't really going to get her very far. So they kind of go out and they find Hawthorne Medical Labs. Oh, it's a Vault Tech facility. Who would have thought? Vault Tech Vault. They, for some reason, also now Maximus has a gun. I don't know where he got that from.
He's got like the Raiders that they murdered.
Oh, did he? Okay, I didn't see that he got it off of there.
It was not very obvious, but yeah, he grabbed the gun off of them.
Okay, yeah, I didn't catch that part. I saw he had a gun. I was like, oh, that would have been nice a few minutes ago. So. He's got a gun now. It's a Vault Tech facility. Woo! Maximus he's trying to keep her from going in. Maybe it's not a smart idea to go into a building that we know nothing about. She barges in and just charges in on her own. Maximus enters the building. He can't find Lucy. It's a very well-preserved building. The inside of this building is very clean. There are computers still running. Almost every computer is still running. It's almost eerily well-preserved, and there is a light that runs across the top that's almost drawing you to a door. What's behind the door, they ask.
Bum, bum, bum.
Maximus kind of makes his way through the building. He's lured into a medical supply room, and it's fake. He tries to open the door, and there's no handle. It's painted on Wile E. Coyote style.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of funny. He like reached for it and everything.
Oh yeah, it was a good visual gag, and yeah, he gets gassed out and dropped, and there's a little Wilhelm scream as he falls down into whateverness. And this is when ad break number 2 is. Check out our other show, Good Morning, Good Night. It's where we talk about the podcasts that we do and behind the scenes. It's a fun show. It's available on stuckontheinternet.com or wherever you find podcasts. If you don't like listening to these fake ads, you should sponsor us.
Bum, bum, bum. Wait,
That's how I'm gonna get sponsorships for Stuck on the Internet. I'm gonna do increasingly bad. I'm gonna start doing increasingly bad ad reads for our own stuff, to where somebody's like, no, please, here, read about HelloFresh. We head on back to the vault. All of Vault 33 is gathered together to see the damage of Vault 32. Or are they? What? Yeah, they're kind of there in the interim area. Betty is announcing this big resettling campaign. What I gathered from it is the gist is they're going to take some people from Vault 32 or Vault 33 and maybe some people from Vault 31, and they're going to put them together in Vault 32, and it's going to repopulate it.
Resettlement of Vault 32.
Yeah, and as they enter the vault, something curious. The vault is immaculately clean now.
And so at this point, the sound design is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Because it starts up and it starts to play What a Difference a Day Make by Dinah Washington. Mm-hmm. And it was just like the perfect choice of a song. And that made me look up who the sound designer was. And it's Daniel Coleman. Daniel?
I think it's
Daniel. Daniel Coleman. It's a sound designer. And he also did the sound designer for like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Battlestar Galactica.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's the show. The sound design of the show has been really, really good. It's something that I can highly recommend if you have access to. I think I've said something about this before. If you have access to any high quality sound systems or whatever to enjoy the show on, that's the best way to watch it. I have thoroughly enjoyed the sound. It's something I haven't touched on enough. Both the scoring for the show with the music choices and just the general audio design and audio engineering of the show, really, really good. You know, they really, really drive it home. So it's definitely cinematic level sound design in the show. But yeah, they're playing a song that's basically like what a difference a day can make. You know, pretty much implying that this happened overnight, which raises a lot of questions because there was obviously, and we see flashbacks to the last episode. How did they get all this cleaned up so quickly? I mean, we go back
before.
Yeah, it was a mess. There was dead bodies everywhere. Where did the bodies go? How did they clean everything up so quickly? Obviously, they painted over everything very quickly. And I mean, they restored the vault when the Raiders hit pretty quickly too. So maybe just vault dwellers are very efficient. But it also makes you wonder, you know, if Vault 32 or Vault 33 rather, if Vault 33 is seeing this vault for the first time, was it Vault 31 that did it?
That kind of is what I think. It was Vault 31.
Did they have like Mr. Handy's do it? You know, it definitely raises some questions. And, you know, that's very suspiciously clean. They show the toaster, a flashback with the knife, and the dude with the knife and the toaster. The toaster is now shiny and clean. And we see a bunch of different flashbacks as we're walking through a lot of these areas where these scenes happen in the last episode to show the disparity between what it was 24 hours ago and what it is today. They do a close-up on the foosball pole. There's a little bit of blood on it still. Just a little bit. If you're not paying attention, you could miss it. We come in and we're walking in to Norm is walking into the overseer's office, and the overseer's computer is smashed to bits. All the proof is gone. There's kind of a moment Betty comes in, and I think Betty is to an extent kind of aware that Norm is onto what's going on. I think it's definitely implied. Betty asks, you know, how do you like the new vault? Norm says it's very clean. They kind of have an awkward moment.
Did a good job cleaning.
Great job cleaning. Betty asks, or rather Norm asks where his mom's Pip-Bois would have went when she died. I think, again, that's the first time they actually mentioned that the mom died. Betty says it's buried with her. Betty knows it's buried with her because her mom Betty and Norm's dad, the former overseer, buried her personally. Again, I kind of wonder how she died. And now further, how did her Pip-Bois get outside of the vault? Is she really dead? How did she die? what happened? I have questions.
Yeah, the other lady, the evil lady the father stealer, whatever her name was.
Moldiver.
Moldiver knows what his mother looks like, or Lucy's mother as well. And
it's so many questions raised about the mother. I'm going to be interested to see where that goes.
Yeah, it's kind of wonder if she's still alive and helping out the people from the outside.
It kind of makes me think, my running back of my head theory is... That's so hard to establish.
Maybe she knows about 31 and then got kicked out or something?
Yeah, I think I kind of wonder if she knows, because obviously, it doesn't seem that there was any kind of like graveside service if only the father and Betty were present during the burial. What's also interesting to me is that Betty has kind of called out several times previously that Norm has more power than he realizes in here. So I'm kind of thinking that, running theory-wise, Betty knows, like, the mom is not dead. She was expelled from the vault. Betty knows about this. They faked her death and got her out of the vault. I'm wondering if she knew something about what was going on and everything's tied together from there. I don't know. I'm gonna be very interested to see how things develop. I'm very, very confused and very, very curious.
Same.
After that, we head back to Vault Tech. Lucy and Max awaken on gurneys. Lucy does. Max is still out. He's got a bandage on his arm. Lucy kind of starts exploring a little bit. Where are we? Where are we at? Are we just in some mysterious hallway?
We're in a vault.
We're in the greatest place on Earth. We're in a vault.
The greatest place on Earth. Disneyland.
They're in Disneyland. So, and that's where the episode ends. And it kind of raises some questions about why is Vault Tech abducting surface dwellers?
Yeah, that's kind of odd. But was I wrong, or did that say Vault 9? I know we'll get the answer like next episode, but
it might have. Honestly,
it was kind of hard to see.
That close of attention. Yeah, it was kind of hard to see. I definitely think that we're gonna see in vaults under Vault Tech facilities. I think is something that has popped up previously in Fallout. So I think there's one. I want to say it's in Fallout 1 or 2. I remember hearing about where it's under like the Vault Tech headquarters. So this is definitely not a foreign concept to Fallout. I'm gonna be interested to see what the whole deal, because obviously I think based on the way when Maximus entered the Vault Tech facility, there was a light kind of guiding him to the door. So for some reason, they're luring people, and this room was obviously built to capture people. There's even there's like a chute behind them in the room they wake up on that says something like intake. So definitely this is
on there too.
This is very intentional. So it's like, what's the point of doing this? Why are they doing this? What are they, are they collecting vault or surface dwellers for the experiments? Are they bringing them into the vault? Why is the inside of the Vault Tech facility so clean? Are they still operating in there doing things? I can't wait to see where this one goes. And I get the feeling that we're going to see, specifically because this was a vault built under a Vault Tech facility, I think in the next episode we might get a few questions answered about what exactly is going on at our triangle of vaults.
I am excited. Yeah, this episode definitely made me, like, before I kind of, not to say that I didn't care about what was going on back in Vault 33, but I was just less interested in what was going on in Vault 33. But now I am, like, totally invested in 33, that I want to know more about that. Almost more than what's going on outside.
Yeah, I think they did a really good job of exploring the experiments in the vault and the way they're unfurling it, because it really, I don't think it would have had this same effect if they went into it immediately, because you kind of get that same sense that the vault dwellers do, that like everything's fine for such a long time, and then all of a sudden these little threads start coming apart.
Yeah. So good.
That's what I've really liked about them building up, because I mean, in the beginning I would have been perfectly content if you told me that the experiment with the vaults was just, it's 3 vaults that are connected. Like, I'd have been like, okay. And the fact that they've taken this time to explore what is going on and really kind of build up the suspense to what is going on in there, and then we get to go into another vault which might even have information on what's going on back home. So it's just, there's so much to explore with this, and that side of things things I'm very excited to find out about. I really, really want to know what happened with the NCR and Sandy Springs. I'm a little upset about where that went this episode. I get why people are upset. As always, I'm very upset anytime we don't get Cooper because I think he's a very fun character.
Yeah, so let me ask you, with the NCR and Shady Sands, if the actual new lore of it is that the NCR is gone and Shady Sands is gone, is there any reasonable thing that will make it so that like they can say they'll be like, okay, that saves it for me, or would that just be a total, just make you totally upset by it?
If they explain why it happened in a reasonable manner, other than that's just something that happened, I'm gonna like I can learn to be okay with it, because it also, I mean, the good thing is it's not like it happens at a point where it retcons anything that happened in the games. You know, I think this happens like 15, 20 years after Fallout New Vegas. So, I mean, there's a lot of time for things to change there. It's not changing any of the lore in the games per se. I'm just frustrated with it because as it stands right now, it seems like they blew up the biggest faction in the games for one dude's backstory. And again, the dude is not that interesting, at least not right now. If it was for, you know, hell, if it was for Cooper's backstory, if Cooper did it himself, that would have been cool. But it's like, yeah, this you could have blown anything up for the backstory of there was a kid that was rescued by the Brotherhood of Steel after a bomb exploded.
But they chose,
like, they could have blown up anything for that. Why specifically go for this? And that's why I'm really hoping, I really hope they go and explain why, because that is something that will irritate me if they don't, if they just never touch on that again. Just the NCR is gone because the NCR is gone.
It's 14 years after New Vegas.
Okay.
9 years after 4.
Yeah.
And
so I mean, it definitely
so
it's a healthy.
As long as it doesn't like go back and change the actual lore, you're fine with it.
Yeah,
like, it's
it'll
not
make
like
me
a
interested.
retcon?
It'll make me interested to see the time span since the bomb blew up, because I mean, it happened when Maximus was a kid, like a little kid. How old is Maximus now? You know, did this happen immediately after New Vegas? Did this happen as a consequence of what happened? You know, my headcanon ending for Fallout New Vegas is the NCR ending. So, you know, did the NCR win? And this was like the... I mean, even in New Vegas, at the end of you can get the Brotherhood of Steel to work with the NCR in New Vegas for that ending. So I just right, like if we go down the route that the Brotherhood of Steel is the one that blew up, they showed up pretty damn quick, you know.
Yeah.
I have a lot of questions as to why it happened, and I feel like I didn't get enough explanation. And I'm going to be very mad if they don't explore it. If they explore it and give me a decent enough answer, I'll be content with it. I'm not going to be happy with it because I do like the NCR as a faction, but I can be content with it. If they never touch it again for the rest of the series, if we get 5 seasons in and it's never explained, I'm going to be livid.
All right, I need to do a little bit of math real fast. I just found out something, which is interesting, and I doubt that this is what they're doing. 96 minus...
We're doing some live math on this episode.
35. 2000... Okay, so the year this TV show is 2096, and then minus 35. That puts us in the year 2261. So the actor himself is 35. Very, very rarely is the actor the same age as as the person that they're portraying.
In my head canon, is there anything online that says how old Maximus is?
I don't know if there's anything online that says how old Maximus is.
How much is Maximus in Fallout? He is, given the information, he seems to be in his late teens or early 20s. If we say that because you said it's 16 years after Fallout New Vegas?
Yeah. So
if we say that let's just say he's like 19 and the bomb blew up when he was, 5.
Oh, if he's 19, that puts it at Fallout 3.
That puts it right after Fallout. Like my big thing is if they came out and were like this blew up like 2 years before Fallout New Vegas and it starts retconning actual lore in game, that I can't forgive. Because Fallout New Vegas is such a pillar, in my opinion, and I think in a lot of other people's opinions, Fallout New Vegas is a massive pillar in the Fallout world. They're just going to retcon the lore from that, because there's no way the NCR would have been organized enough to take Hoover Dam if the Capitol was destroyed. You know, they would be trying to rebuild the Capitol, and it's something that's never, I mean, they mentioned Shady Sands multiple times in Fallout New Vegas. So if they come out and say, I'm definitely going to be mad if they come out and say, like, yeah, this happened in X year. And they might have, and I don't want to look it up. I'm sure I could answer this question by looking it up on Google and see when that bomb blew up.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get
yeah, I want to. That's one of those things that I want to get into. Yeah, we're moving.
3 episodes left.
No, 5. No, yeah, 3 episodes left.
5, 6,
yeah.
7, yeah.
5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, we got 3 episodes left. I hope they explore it in the next 3 episodes. If not, I'm going to do some digging, and I will let you know if I'm mad at Todd or not. This might renew my Fallout 4 rant. This might be the better version of it.
We might get
a
new
I'm more eloquent now.
Fallout rant. Woo! Screaming Chris.
Yeah, oh God. So, yeah, very, very interesting episode. Again, I kind of keep it in that same category as the last episode. It moved it was a good length, in my opinion. 45 minutes is a good length for a TV show. Moved the plot along in some ways, not that I liked, but I will be okay with it depending on how it develops. The rest of everything else, I think, is heading in a wonderful direction. I'm very happy with it so far. And, yeah, I can't wait to watch the last 3 episodes with you and then watch 8 more episodes with my wife. And we come back and talk about it.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else to add, or should I start spieing?
Peeing. Yeah, just start peeing all over the place.
I feel like we're doing the piss ritual in reverse.
I am definitely very excited to see what's going to happen with it and to see if I get a full-on Chris rant. Me, personally, if like they completely retcon things, I'm not going to care that much because I'm just going to be here for the chaos that you bring. So it's going to be happy for me no matter what. So,
it's just such like, I can't retcon stuff that's in the games. They can't. Like they could little lore changes, little tweaks here and there. You know, the ghoul thing with the spray. That's fine. Whatever. You know, you want to make the gulper bigger? That's fine. Whatever. You want to bring the pretty one across the country? Cool. Don't blow up the biggest goddamn faction in the franchise. That would be like they put out a new Star Wars movie and they were like, well, actually, we blew up the Empire, like, you know, way before the events in episode 3 happened.
I feel like that would be a better Star Wars.
I can't wait for that episode of Movies and Such working title show coming soon.
So, like, Earth is round, Earth is flat. Where are you guys at on that these days?
So anyway, this has been episode 5 of The Pip-Bois, the premier Fallout podcast, available on stuckontheinternet.com or wherever you find podcasts. We've got some great content out there. We've dropped a couple fake ads in this show. Go check out some of our other stuff. If you like this podcast, please, the best thing in the entire world that you can do is leave us a follow, leave us a like, subscribe to us, rate the podcasts. Seriously, it goes a long way. It helps promote our stuff. It helps us continue to do this thing that we love to do. Check out our website, again, stuckontheinternet.com. Our merch store has been live for over a month, but I'm just announcing it because I got it live today on the day this is being recorded. If you want a Pip-Bois shirt, if you like the logo of this podcast, the Pip-Bois, we have a shirt. You can wear our faces on your stomach or on your chest. It's cool. There's also a bunch of other merch on there.
Thumbs up.
Yeah, if you want to support this monetarily, that's the best way to do it. Buy a shirt, buy a mug, buy a sticker, buy whatever you want. It's on our website, stuckontheinternet.com/merch. Again, this has been the Pip-Bois. Find us at stuckontheinternet.com or wherever you find podcasts.
See y'all next time.
Good night.
Good peace.